Hi, and welcome to Supy Talks' third episode. In this podcast, we're joined by an exciting guest, Elias Kandalaft, who is both a chef and the managing director at Gourmet. Gourmet is an award-winning catering business in the Middle East. They won the Outside Catering Team Award given by the Caterers Awards for 2020, 2021, and 2023. Caterers Middle East said that the judges were impressed by your ability to adapt to the pandemic when that happened, but they were also impressed by the way that you treat your staff, which is very interesting and kind of heartwarming to hear. Elias, you wear two hats at a time, the hat of a chef, but also the hat of a businessman. And I think we're going to have a very exciting episode because it's the first time that we have a chef on the podcast and a catering business. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really great. What you guys are doing is really cool, and I'm a fan.
Nice.
So you'll see me on your page. I am a follower.
Nice, amazing. So let me start with this question. Tell us a little bit about your journey as a chef.
Well, it started mostly it started from when you're young. I never really used to cook, but I used to watch my parents cook. Most of our activities were surrounded by food. My parents are amazing hosts, so they always like to host people, bring them over. And I see whenever they have a big party, my mom's preparing all the plates, my dad's handling the food. And if it's a bigger party, he's dealing with the caterers, the barman, and they always made sure that everyone was having a brilliant time. And they were working hard and pushing, but they just wanted to make sure that everyone was having a fun, amazing time. So I think that's where I was introduced to it. We were always foodies, eaters. We always liked to go out and eat and appreciate food. And I think once I got to university, that's where I started to miss that element, home cooked food. I'd be going out all the time. And
what did you study at university?
So I was a marketing student, marketing and management. And that was my career path. I love marketing. I enjoy, coming up with creative ads, listening to stories. So for me, that's how it started. That was my path. And then halfway along, I was taking a class called Marketing of Food. And our professor's name was Dr. Jordan Labelle. And he had a PhD in chocolate. So he was known as Dr. Chocolate. And I was so into this class. And for me, the path was I need to go work at one of these FMCGs or anything to do with food, like these big chains that manage restaurants. And I spoke to him. I'm like, sir, I want to get into this business. He's like, listen, my advice to you, learn how to cook. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not interested in, cooking and learning how to be a chef. He's like, listen, I did it. I have a PhD in chocolate and I have a master's in finance and marketing. He's like, this is the way to go. You'll be ahead of everyone. And for me, I was like, okay, let's do that. And once I graduated, I went straight to culinary school. And that's where the real journey started. And that's where I realized that this is it's not an easy business. It's not that much fun in the beginning, especially because it's very military structure. It's, do as I say, kind of, it's kind of like you're in the barracks and whatever the sergeant says or the head chef, you do, and you just say, yes, chef, which is humbling, because, I was a little bit of a smart ass. I like to talk, I like to joke around, and that was very tough, even if you don't, even if it's not your mistake and the chef says this is a mistake, you own it, you take it. So that was the beginning. That was the tough part. And then slowly, when you kind of fall into this camaraderie and you're kind of working together and you're working for one goal, is to make sure that the customer's having a good time. And that's where you kind of start, that's where the passion falls in. Mm-hmm. And it took me a good year or two to follow this passion. And I didn't want to quit. At first I wanted to, but my mom was like, listen, just kind of bite the bullet. She's like, you started this, just continue.
Professionally speaking, right? So you're not talking about wanting to quit during your studies in culinary school. That's after that.
No. So the first week I wanted to quit.
Oh, the first week of culinary school?
Yeah. We had, I think it was Chef Gilles. He's an incredible human being. I speak very highly of him, but at that moment I hated him. I thought he was the worst person on earth. And then we met Chef Benoit, who was even worse.
Why?
You know, they're just horrible. They were just mean, condescending. Like they measure each fruit and vegetable that you cut, and if it's a millimeter off, they throw it in the garbage. And then they put the garbage in your face. They say, "This is what you threw away. That's $5 in the garbage. What's $5 times 365?" You know, and they start to like you, and you know, yelling, screaming at you. But they were preparing me for what's to come. And it's true. But once you realize that they're doing it for your own benefit, that's where you're like, oh, okay, this is, you know, and it's interesting because sometimes a lot of people can't handle that, and it's rough, but they do that to make sure that you're working hard, you're not taking shortcuts, and you're doing what's best for the customer, and you're working together as a team. Later on, you know, once the passion built, and I started working in restaurants, and you meet very interesting people. You meet
Professionally. In the kitchen, yeah.
Yeah, I was in Canada when I first started, so I worked with ex-convicts. I worked with people that never got an education. I worked with people that were like in their 50s, almost 60s, and standing on their feet every single day. But this is their livelihood. This is what they do. They've been doing it forever, you know, and this is all they know. They never went to university, or they didn't finish high school, and they just took this path and they fell in love. Some people were just prep cooks their whole life. They come to work, they prep food, they leave. You know, it's very interesting bunch. Tattoos from top to bottom. Yeah. And then you have the ones that, you know, that are always very, very quiet. And then the loud ones. And then the Napoleon-like chefs that just scream at you. It's a very interesting, it's a very interesting field. And for me, what I loved about it was, this is the path I wanted to take, because I've always felt like I was a little bit different from the rest of like the people around me. I didn't want to do the 9 to 5. I didn't want to I come to work at 9, sit on the desk, type, and then leave at 5. I didn't want to do that. I was always doing extra jobs while in university. I was a promoter randomly. Like some guy offered me a job. In nightclubs, okay. Yeah. I was just going to a nightclub and bringing all my friends. He was like, listen, you can make money if you like. Just bring more people and I'll pay you $3 per person. I was like, oh, cool. And then I just became a promoter, giving out tickets at university. I took bartending classes, but that never worked out. Like that's something I never pursued. And I was DJing, you know, for fun. Yeah, it's just fun stuff. I don't do it anymore because I focused on the F&B side of things. Yeah. But that's how I grew up, and it was fun. It's a fun environment. It's so tough. 16 hours, like on your feet, and getting hammered every day. And it's like a non-stop. You keep going, no breaks sometimes. Yeah. Some days are beautiful. Other days are horrible. Like there's no like gray area.
Understood.
It's either great or it sucks.
So after culinary school, you went into different restaurants. I suppose you started from the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah.
As a sous chef, that would be it?
No, the bottom would be like, I guess now you'd call it a commis chef. You're just prepping. You're just cutting veggies. In Montreal, it's a bit different. In Canada, I was a garde manger, so I did the cold appetizers and some of the hot appetizers as well. I didn't touch the grill. And one of the restaurants I worked in was incredible. It was one of the best in the city, but I had to leave because they wouldn't put me on the grill. I wanted to learn more, but that's how strict they are. That's how, you know, if you don't have at least 3-4 years experience, you're not touching the grill. So I started as a commis, moved up, and for me, before I came back to Dubai, the highest position I was a sous chef. Okay. You know, so I'd just been promoted to sous chef, worked for a little bit, and then I got homesick. Yeah. And I'm like, I need to come back here.
That was after how many years of experience, the sous chef position?
Not much, like almost less than a year.
Yeah.
Not that much.
Is that traditional in terms of the timing that it takes to get into that kind of position?
So I was working in kitchens for about 3-4 years till I got to a sous chef position. Yeah. Okay. But it was a small restaurant, you know, like if you have a certain amount of skill, I think had I been in a much bigger place, I wouldn't have been more than like a like a demi sous or something like that, like not even at that level. But because you're in a smaller restaurant, less people, you know, he saw like some potential in me, so he promoted me into that position.
Got it.
And then that's where I made the move here.
So you started as a chef, you grew into the different roles, and then you decided that your ambition was to start a restaurant.
Yeah.
That to you was the path, basically. So once you arrive in Dubai, what was the next step for you?
So when I arrived here, you know, my family was also living here as well. So, you know, moved back in with the parents. And, you know, my dad told me, he's like, if you want to do a restaurant or open anything, you have to take the necessary steps. So he's like, you need to first come up with a business plan. So I was like, okay. So I'm like, and he would make me wake up early with him, take me with him to his office. And he's like, okay, start working on the business plan. So I started working on the business plan, and we started going to financials, and his partner helped me do the financials. Okay, fine. We create the financials. And I was in parallel meeting with different real estate agents to see locations, you know, and coming up with concepts, you know, and I'd go with real estate agents and we'd find these beautiful locations, but they were so expensive, you know, and I'd tell my dad, you know, I found this great space. It's huge. It's like rent is X million a year or something like that. And to build it, it would cost X million. And he's like, well, if you really want to do this, find some people to invest. I started talking to his friends, investor, and no one was into it. They're like, who's this 26, 27-year-old kid that is trying to open up a restaurant? You don't have a track record. So in parallel, I started also cooking at home for fun. You know, my parents have a party, I cook for them. My sister's husband had his birthday, so I cooked and did like these small little canapes. And then, you know, slowly people started asking me for, hey, can you send me a couple of dishes? I'm gathering 20 people. So I'd make a couple of dishes, send it over. And then they're like, hey, can you stay and start cooking for us? You know, so I'd bring a barbecue.
Was all of this organic?
Yeah.
Were you like pushing it aggressively amongst your friends and family, or were people coming to you and just be like, oh, the food is good?
Yeah. So it was more organic because I didn't mean to open a catering company. That wasn't the plan. The plan was the restaurant, because I'm a restaurant chef. Like that's all I know. But when I started doing it, and, you know, my dad was probably the biggest catalyst, because, you know, he worked in corporates his whole life, but he didn't have the opportunity to be an entrepreneur. He didn't have that opportunity. He, you know, come here, work corporate. And so he pushed me and my sister to like really invest in ourselves, in our business. And then one day some lady came up to me. She's like, hey, it's my daughter's wedding. I'm going to throw it in my backyard. It's 100 people. Can you do it? And I was like, and my dad always told me, never say no. So I'm like, yes, I can do it. And then I realized what I did. And I told my dad, I accepted this 100-person event. It's in 2 weeks. He was like, listen, let's buy some equipment. He's like, just let's do it. Let's have some fun. You know, we buy some glassware, plates. We'll get some chefs, some equipment. And we started doing that. And from that one event, and that was the birth of Pinch Gourmet, because like we came up with that name just before. More people started ordering because there's 100 people there. If one or two people order, and then the next event, there's like 20 or 30, one person order. And that's kind of how it organically grew. And that's where investors started saying, hey, we're interested. Let's get in on this. Let's build a kitchen. So that's kind of the path of how Pinch Gourmet was born.
Yeah. So how do you decide what kind of cuisine you want to start cooking, or what kind of niche you want to start serving when you're starting out a catering business?
When I first started, I noticed there was and this was 2014, 2015. So I noticed a lot of caterers were just kind of doing the substandard, you know, whatever. You had a couple of really good boutique ones, you know, and shout out to them. They're great, you know, and they started from like 2008 or something like that. And I looked at them and like, oh, these guys are doing it different, but everyone else is not. How I decided I wanted to do it is I wanted to showcase foods that really speak true to me, who I am. You know, I like cooking low and slow. I like taking time. I liked everything from scratch, literally, like from the bread to the meat. Like I grind my own meat if we're making burgers. I braise it, I ferment it, I pickle it. Like it was a bit excessive, but this is who I was. I wanted to show, and when you're a young chef, you want to showcase your skill. You want to show who you are, what you can do. So that was me. I like the casual but fine dining, which at the time wasn't really a thing. Now everyone's doing casual fine dining, where you go to a restaurant and you have like a number of plates. They're like, we'll serve you what's ready. It's a sharing concept. Like, I'm sure you've seen that everywhere. Oh, it's a sharing concept, but it's amazing plates, and they're showcasing who they are. And I think if I'm going to mention a chef, Chef Urfali, Mohammed Urfali, they asked him, what's your cuisine at Urfali Bros? And he's like, this is what I like to cook. This is like, these are the things I like to show. And, and he cooks with passion, and that was how I started. And that's how most chefs, they want to showcase who they are, what they can do.
Yeah. So basically you went with whatever you liked and whatever you wanted to showcase. And then people started picking up on that and started asking you for more of that for their own private events.
Yeah.
And then you started developing your own menu in a way that you saw fit. Is that how you developed your identity, your cuisine?
Yeah. So that's how it started.
Yeah.
But as the popularity of the company grew, people were asking me, hey, can you do these kind of dishes? Like, so do you do Mexican cuisine? And at the time, not really. I knew how to cook. And then I said, yes, we can do it. And I'd sit, research, go on YouTube. YouTube's incredible. Like culinary school, you can throw it out the window. Just go on YouTube.
Really?
For
What's
recipes,
the benefit then of a culinary school?
I guess discipline. They teach you what it's really like to work in a kitchen. Some of the best chefs have never went to culinary school. And I guess it's a little hypocritical of me to say that, you shouldn't go to culinary school, because I learned a lot. Because I went from zero to hero. Like, you learn quite a bit. It's an investment, and if in the beginning you don't have those resources to invest in that, you can start on YouTube. Really, you can start and you can slowly build it up. And if you want to, you can go to culinary school or at least work in restaurants. Experience is everything. So I think once I started working in restaurants, that's where my experience really built up. And I started, because you learn the tricks of the trade. There's some cool guys, like there's one chef, his name's Joshua Wiseman. He just released a video, the 100 tips on how to become a better chef. I urge everyone to watch this video. Yeah. And these are I knew all of them, because these are things that you learn on the job, and I think that's the case with most jobs.
So once you've developed your dishes and you've identified your best sellers, how do you go on about to create a menu? How do you balance that menu from both, a diversity perspective, but also from a financial perspective? How do you make sure the menu is profitable all the time and also pleases your customers?
Yeah. So let's assume that it's an event. Someone's throwing a party. It's someone's husband or wife's 40th birthday, and you want to make sure that there's a diverse menu that most people can enjoy. So how I start making a menu for the customer is I start off with what are the different proteins, so chicken, fish, beef, vegetarian, vegan, so I try to do kind of like a collaboration of all of these different types of proteins to make sure that at least something is being hit, because customers come from all different types of backgrounds, different types of dietary restrictions. Some people don't eat beef. Some people prefer not to eat chicken. There's pescatarian. So I try to hit all the protein groups first. So that's how we start. And then when you're doing an event, you kind of need to understand, okay, what are the events that are happening alongside the catering? Is there a cocktail party in the beginning? Like, are you planning on passing around some drinks? Are you planning on passing out small bites? So these are questions. They're like, yeah, the guests are going to arrive a little bit earlier. We want to pass around a few bites. So how long are you doing? Oh, like an hour or two. Okay. 2 hours, we can serve maybe 4 different types of canapes. So you'll do a fish, vegetarian, beef, and you make sure to hit like some of those groups. Then, okay, what time is dinner going to be served? Oh, 8 p.m. Okay, so by 8 p.m. And what type of, do you want live stations? do you want us to make a show? Do you want our chefs to cook something for you? Or do you want just, simple buffet? People come and there's now this big thing with the grazing tables. Do you want us just to set the food on the table and you guys graze? So you find out that info and you then decide, how much food. Now
that's the financial aspect that starts to kick in.
Yeah. So that's where now the question becomes, in terms of financial, like for us, how do we avoid food waste, or how do you stop your customer from either ordering too much or too little? So you kind of have to understand who the clientele are, like what's the age group. And you think, why would you want to know the age group? Because a younger crowd will eat more.
Really? Okay.
Younger crowd will eat more. Sometimes they'll drink more. So, and they'll and some, will drink more. And we even ask, like, is your group more drinkers or more eaters? And if they're more drinkers, then we're like, okay, then don't go too crazy on the food, because everyone's out to have a drink and have a good time and socialize. Whereas the eaters and people who just want to eat and enjoy, they're probably going to eat more as if they're younger. 35 plus, we're all watching our health. We're all trying to take care of ourselves. So I wouldn't recommend a pizza station, for example. I'm like, hey, are your friends like super healthy or anything? Like, yeah, they are. Then I'm like, okay, well, maybe not a pizza, maybe risotto, like a nice risotto on a wheel. Like, because rice is okay, but carbs are nay. So like when I say carbs, I mean like flour and things like that. So some people try to avoid that. So I'm like, maybe not that, maybe a nice tenderloin steak, some fish. We have a beautiful fish station. We'll salt bake it. So, and it's a conversation, which is why it's a little bit different than restaurants, because I'm having a conversation with my client. I'm like, hey, what do you like? What do you want? So catering is more personalized. The word catering, I am catering to you. I am whatever your needs are, I am going to cater these needs to you. So that's where the customer kind of has to be involved as well. And that's where we can showcase how the party is going to look. Where are we going to put the buffet tables? Hey, are you getting a DJ? Is there going to be dancing? Because if there's going to be dancing, then there's only a set period of when people are going to eat. So like for an hour and a half, between 8 and 9:30, everyone's going to eat. Then they're going to continue the party. So then the food's done. You close the buffet, and like people just go and enjoy the rest of the night. Yeah. So it's complicated, and I wish this podcast was longer so I can sit down and really explain to you what it takes to create a menu for a party.
Yeah. I think this is it's quite interesting to see how a chef is someone who would decide on a menu, and then customers would come to this menu. But then you need a different set of skills, I would imagine, where you need to adapt yourself to the customer's requests. Was it easy to sort of learn how to build relationships with customers and understand what questions to ask them to better serve them?
So, to answer your question, like in a nutshell, it's not easy at all. And for a couple of reasons. Reason number one is, a customer has an expectation in their head. So it's just like, oh, I went to this party and I saw what you did, And if you tell me, hey, I want a similar party to that, then it's easy. It's copy paste. But sometimes, you're working in different environments each and every single party. You're not in a restaurant. It's your environment. You built it. It's your kitchen. It's your dining hall. It's yours. So it's easy. You know where all the equipment are, everything. In a catering aspect, I'm in your house. I'm in your territory. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, I'm in your home. So I need to make sure I'm taking care of your space. I need to make sure everything's clean at all times. I need to make sure that, the expectation that you had in your head for a buffet setup or a live station setup is as per what you're expecting. And that's hard to meet someone's expectation. Everyone is a foodie nowadays. So there's a bigger understanding on what food is, what it's supposed to be. So you're hitting a clientele that are willing to spend this money to make sure that they have a big party, but also they have a pretty good understanding of what it means to throw a party. So I think it's very difficult to first meet expectations and do it in a territory or an area that you don't know. That's why we do site visits. Like, when we tell the customer, like, hey, listen, if we're going to throw your party, we want to see what the space looks like. How much electricity? Like when you're in a restaurant, no, khalas, you figure out the electricity from day one. But us, every party, how much electricity do you have? I require lights. I require motors. I require
You don't deliver this. You don't bring this with you.
We bring it. But if there's a heavier power requirement, I'm talking now mostly homes. But if you're in a festival area or in an area that doesn't have power, okay, I need a generator now, and we need to rent one. So that's an additional cost, and these things are quite costly. We've done shoots in the desert, we've done photo shoots in the desert, and we had to bring our own generator, and we serve food. We need fridges, we need ovens. It's easier in a home setting because I can ask, hey, do you mind if I use your oven? But if not, I have to bring my own oven or bring a barbecue grill and you have to make sure that all the items that are discussed are brought. Or, if the chefs are cooking, you can forget the salt. Something as small, as simple as a spoon or salt or a colander. You're doing pasta and you need to strain your pasta. Yeah. I don't have a colander or a sieve. So what do? You get foil, poke some holes in it, pass it through the sieve. You have to figure it out. It's logistics. Catering's logistics.
And I've heard you say in several interviews that this was the hardest part of catering. Don't you get used to it? You do. How difficult it is? Don't you get more organized and learn to be less, more efficient?
Yeah, everything is checklists, sheets. Whoever the chef that's going to an event, we've trained them to kind of make their own checklists and sheets. Yeah. So we have the standard, bring gloves, bring maxi roll, bring extra towels, bring your chopping board, your knife, all this stuff. But then, they're like, oh, and they'll ask the event coordinator, hey, send us pictures. What does it look like? Oh, it's next to a pool. Do I have enough space to put my cords? Do I have enough space to do this? Do I need to get the small tables or the big tables? Fill me in. I need to know, how big is the space? And like you said, the more you do something, the more you understand. And you hire people that have experience or are willing to learn. These are the best, the ones who are the chefs that are willing to learn. One of our chefs, actually a couple of our chefs, they've been with us since day one. And they one of them was washing dishes. Now he's one of my top chefs on a catering event. Yeah. And barely spoke English. And he's the smiliest, talking to everyone. Yes, of course, I can do this for you. Perfect English, from zero English to perfect English. And because of eagerness to learn, they're hungry, they want more. And these are the people I like working with.
And what's the best way to train these kinds of people?
To be by their side from the beginning, because when they don't have the skill set, you have to show them the right way. It's kind of like a blank canvas, which is pretty cool because they don't have the bad habits. And you hold them accountable. This person that I'm speaking of specifically, we were just teaching him how to do the lamp station, and I would stand there next to him at every event, and I tell him every time he makes a batch, I'm like, let me taste it. I taste it. Okay, add more lemon, and he'll do it. And then and I tell him, taste it, and he'll like, yeah. I'm like, this is what's supposed to taste like. Okay, he'll make another batch. Okay, add more cumin. Okay, and I tell him, hey. And that's how you develop your palate. Yeah. And our chefs did that in culinary school. So to go back, maybe everyone should go to culinary school because they train your palate. Yeah. They teach you this is what it's supposed to taste like. It's too salty. It's too sweet. How do you fix that? You need more acidity. Okay, what's acidic? Okay, lemon, vinegar, what else? How can you enhance the flavor? Something's missing. They teach you what that something is. Something's not right. Doesn't come together. There's no texture. It's not crunchy. It's too soft. It's squishy. It's gooey. You learn these things on the job.
Yeah. Do you think that your taste is your own, or have you built a taste based on what works with the majority of people?
This is gonna sound weird, but both. So, and I'll tell you why. There are certain things that I like. I love a good sour taste. I love pickles, lemon.
So Salt and lemon and butter is the secret of life. I feel like.
I think it's a Levantine thing. Yeah. So the Lebanese, the Jordanians, Palestinians, all of us we like the lemony sour taste, but not everyone does. Yeah. So you have to kind of adapt it in a way where, and they teach you this. They're like, this is what it's supposed to taste like. But I like sour. I like, some salad dressings, I'm more of sometimes I like things a bit on the sweeter side. Whereas, for example, my mom, we have a maple balsamic vinaigrette. My mom hates it. It's too sweet. There needs to be more lemon. I'm like, Mom, but like, it's the maple, but you adapt to your customer.
Yeah.
And it's good to explain to a customer, like maple balsamic vinaigrette. What is that? It's a sweet with a little acidity. And they'll ask, is it too sweet? I'm like, a bit. I'm like, okay, I don't want it. Give me something else, So that's why I say there's two. There's the stuff I love. Like I love, the fatty taste in your mouth. And I love that. I love the sour. But majority don't, As Arabs, yes, our lamb station, we doused it with lemon, And if you have Lebanese, they'll tell you, put more lemon. I want more. I want more summa. Summa is very citrusy.
Yeah.
It's a very strong flavor. But you either adapt or you go with kind of like what most people, you develop your palate as per what most people like.
Yeah.
But you can, and if you see that, talk to your customer. I think that's important. Understand what they like. And like, when you're in a restaurant, for example, they ask the waiter, what's good here? And they'll tell you, what do you like? You ask a bartender this, what drink do you recommend? It's like, what do you like? Do you like sweet? Do you like sour? These are important questions.
Got it. I think everybody knows, or at least has a good idea of how a restaurant is managed. You have an inventory, you start to understand how much of each item you need to have in your inventory, you see how fast it gets depleted, and then based on how your menu performs, you start understanding what to order when. Mm-hmm. How does it work in a catering business? Can you take me from, okay, I have an event that is booked, 100 people, they want these kinds of cuisines. How do you go on from this order to then organizing the entire supply chain, ordering the ingredients, where do you store them, how do you transport them, how do you ensure food safety whilst all of this is happening? Give me a little bit of an idea.
So when we first started and we first opened our kitchen, it was more of, there's an event, they ordered a lamb station, they ordered pizza, they ordered smoked salmon, so we'd have the menu in front of us. Next step would be, okay, we need to order the ingredients. And unfortunately, this is how we started. It was, okay, pizza station, what do you need? I need flour, water, yeast, and that's kind of how we started off. So you write down all the ingredients, and then like a couple of days before the party, you order these ingredients. It arrives in your kitchen, and then you follow municipality protocol. From the moment the truck comes in, you check the temperature of the truck, temperature of the food items. Anything above 5 degrees Celsius, reject. I'm talking for chilled items, which is what we mostly use.
And so what I understand, sorry to interrupt, is that you have a central kitchen or a kitchen.
A central kitchen,
where you prep everything and then you put everything that needs to be prepped in advance in the truck to then send it. And whatever needs to be cooked on the spot is just prepared on the spot.
Yeah, okay, exactly.
That's good
for the truck thing, I was mentioning is the trucks of our suppliers. So when a supplier comes in, you check the temperature. If the temperature of the truck is a good temperature, then you can accept the product. Yeah. The temperature of the product has to be below 5 degrees Celsius. Anything above, we have to reject it. Unfortunately, and it sucks because then you say, nope, I don't want it, but I need this product. Yeah. But it's not safe. You take that, if it's vegetables, you sanitize the vegetables. If it's meat, you take it to the meat prep area, and then you start prepping it for the event. So if we have a brisket, take the brisket, cut it up, slice it up, get it ready, put it in the fridge, and have it ready for your event. Once the event is ready, you put all the food in your chilled vehicle, send it over, and then you send another vehicle with your equipment, tables, stands, barbecues, and then you set up at a customer's house. Now, this was...
You use their fridge, or you have also a fridge and all of this?
We try as hard as possible to use our own. So we do have rolling fridges. We do have these Cambro boxes. They're like these styrofoam-ish type boxes that are municipality grade, where that can hold the temperature of food, whether hot or cold. But we like to cook on site. So that's kind of how it works. In terms of inventory now, like what we've obviously enhanced our game, and we've been in the market for more than 8 years now. What we do now is whenever a customer orders something, our system basically picks up, hey, listen, we see you have a pizza station, you need more flour, you need more yeast, you need more of these things. So we're slowly like enhancing our inventory system where that the chefs don't even need to go check if there's flour. No, the system tells us, hey, there's flour. Or there isn't enough flour, order it. You need to order a bag of 50 kilos.
Yeah.
So I think as we grow and as we have corporates, we have cafes that we manage, we have our clients, and so it's a mix of the two. It's like you anticipate for the cafes that okay, we're going to probably sell 10 granolas, so we'll have 10 enough for 10, and we check the inventory. Do we have enough? So let me sorry, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
So we check our inventory now through our system. Obviously there's human error.
So you have a back of house system, like an inventory based system. That's what you have.
Because our operations grew. Before you can manage just order and check, do we have enough chicken manually?
Yeah.
But at a certain stage, it's not manageable anymore because you either have 2-3 people that just manage inventory, which we do, but they also order. They're also in charge of purchasing. They're also in charge of putting everything onto the system. Like if we receive 50 kilos of flour, input it. And whatever is already in stock should be is already in the system. So if we order 50 kilos and we already have 10, so 60 kilos. So right now in the Pinch Gourmet Central Kitchen, there's 60 kilos of flour. And it holds everyone accountable. It helps with food waste. Because if you're going through X amount of chicken or beef or something and your sales are showing that you're at a loss or your food cost is high, there's a number of scenarios. Someone stealing is one, but it's rare that happens, but that could be a thing. You're trimming too much of the beef. So let's say if you're trimming brisket or something, and that happens. But my question is always, okay, chef, you are trimming the beef. What are you doing with the trimmings? The fat trimmings. Now what we do with that is we use that for our burger blend. Okay, there's too much of it. Okay, now we are rendering that fat, so we're like cooking it slowly, and we're using the beef fat to cook certain items, which gives a burst of flavor. But you're using the product. The product is being used. So a good chef is someone that can manage and see what are the things being thrown away. Literally yesterday, someone was we make a brioche in-house for our pain perdu, and he was slicing it, and I asked him, I'm like, what do you do with these things? He's like, I don't know, just throw them. I'm like, but we make breadcrumbs, no? He's like, yeah, but we have a lot. And I'm like, listen, like, don't throw it. Use it. Haram. Like, don't throw the food away. It's a cost. And I'm like, even if you're not going to use it for the customer, use it for the team. And I'd like to add, like, I think
for the team as in
like
employee meals.
The employees. And I think it's important for all places to have a well-fed team. Because I see this a lot in restaurants and companies where the customers are very well fed, but the team isn't. So sometimes the team lacks the understanding of what good food is supposed to be. And I think that's something that we pushed really hard with our employees, is to teach them what good food is supposed to taste like. I think that's super important. Because if you're not eating well, but you're feeding customers like good food and everything, you don't understand the product. Yeah. Like why do we render fat to get beef fat and cook vegetables in or something like that? Extra flavor. It enhances the experience for the customer. And sometimes you have to explain, like, hey, listen, this customer's paying X amount for this. And like, whoa, like that much? Like, yeah, because it is love and passion put into this product. We're putting extra care. We're using expensive ingredients, like truffle and saffron and these things aren't cheap.
Yeah, got it. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you manage your costs as a business, notably food costs? Can you tell me of a time where you became aware that you had high food costs, the impact that it has on your financials? What did you do to try to fix that?
We've experienced it a couple of times. Usually when we start a new project, our food cost shoots up. because
Why?
we're experimenting, we're trying new things. We're trying, like for example, if we're opening a new cafe, and by cafe it's like a corporate cafe. We're trying to understand the customer, and we ask them like, who are the people that are coming? Where are they from? What kind of food do they like? So you'll start sending products, like let's say for breakfast items, granola, menaish, chia seed puddings, things like that. But then they're not buying it. So your food cost goes up because you're throwing it, because it has a 2-day shelf life.
Yeah, it's waste.
So in that scenario, yes, our food cost goes up. Another way is, like I said before, it's you're checking on the on what's being thrown in the garbage. It could be as simple as opening the trash every hour or so in the kitchen just to see like what's being thrown. Why are these parsley stalks being thrown in the garbage? Use them. Why are these carrot trimmings? Just make a vegetable stock. Yeah. We use it. We use it for risotto. We use it to make soups. Each corporate has a daily soup. And we don't Maggi cubes and these powders and these unnatural flavoring. We don't like to use that. We don't. And we like to make our own broths, our own stocks. And these are ways how you manage food costs, but also get a better product. And you check your inventory. You have to keep checking and check the system. And like, for example, we went through 60 kilos of beef today or something like that. I'm like, really? Why? But we only sold like about 40 or something. What's going on? So you investigate. Why? What's going on? Oh, this went bad and we threw it away. Okay, why did it go bad? Yeah, we over-ordered. Why did you over-order? So, and then that's where you tighten. It's a business at the end of the day. Like the move as a chef from being a chef to more of a businessman, it was a very painful transition because I was first like managing the business with passion, and I was the main reason why our food cost was so high. I'd be like, this is not a good product, throw it. They'd be like, no, but nope, throw it. This is not the brand that I wanted. I want this brand. And I like the ego, the passion, like, no, we have to do this. And our food costs were through the roof. But then when you become a businessman, it's like, listen, let's stick to these brands. Don't change it. If you want to change it, let's have a vote in the team. Let's make sure that the product is good, or you're going to get the same end result. Yes, okay, this product is cheaper, but is it good? And we had that, like, they switched our ketchup one time from Heinz to another brand. I don't want to hate on a brand, but they switched it to another brand, and our classic burger sauce tasted horrible. And I was like, wait a second, what happened? Like, and I asked one of the chefs, I'm like, can you make it in front of me? I want to see what you're doing. And he just grabs this Mickey Mouse brand and he puts the ketchup inside. I'm like, what is this? And I went to purchase. I'm like, guys, they're like, it's 4 times cheaper. I'm like, yeah, but it's 4 times worse. Mm-hmm. It's not a good tasting ketchup. It's things like that. But I think the transition, the passion, it's still alive, but there are days where it dies and it hurts. Like sometimes you're like, ugh.
Business comes first in these kinds of times.
It is. Yeah. But you never change who you are. Like, we are Pinch, we are a high quality brand. Try not and change, and try and keep that culture alive within everyone. Like don't allow shortcuts. Don't allow a cheaper brand. Oh, they raised the price of Heinz, for example. That's fine. We still use it. Doesn't matter. Unless another great brand comes along, don't change it. And keep that alive. And it's hard because some people just want to cut corners, and you have to hold people accountable for that.
So I see that you're very focused on wanting to create recipes from scratch, avoiding the magic cubes. Is this something that you're doing to differentiate Pinch? Is it a strategy for you in how you differentiate yourself from the competition? Or is this something that of course you're doing this with a lot of, you're being very genuine with this, but has it become a strategy of differentiation for you?
I guess yes, but also at the same time, I don't think it's fair for someone to pay for food that's not good, or like the food has been manipulated in a way that is not healthy or good tasting. Or I think that yes, it is a differentiating factor, and I won't beat around the bush and say that no, it isn't. But it is something that makes us. And more and more people are doing it. Our competitors are doing it. And we're not the only one in the market. There's quite a few that do it. And
so how do you stay different?
we keep innovating, coming up with new ideas. We have an executive chef that's been with us for a year and a half now. And I allow him to showcase his abilities. He has 20 plus years experience, so more experience than me. And I allow him to like be creative, come up with new things, even things that we see online. Or we do trials. We do fun stuff. Like in the last year or so, we've been fermenting our own pickles and we make kimchi and, we add that to the menus. And we have a sourdough starter for the pizza. Not everyone does sourdough pizza. I'm talking catering wise. It's hard to maintain because it's a central kitchen. It's not like there's a line and there's a dining hall outside and we're, serving plates. No, it's a central kitchen. And we try and innovate, do new things. And we do some crazy experiments. One of them is, I'm like, I wonder what it would taste like if we confit lamb in duck fat. And this is serious, and we did 15 variations. And I'm like, okay, alone it doesn't taste so good. Let's add it with pasta. It wasn't that great. Tomato sauce. No, it's not good. Let's make kind of a cream sauce. No, it's not good. Let's stuff it in a ravioli with a demi-glaze. We try that. I'm like, okay, this is good. This is nice. And we just kept experimenting. We leave time in the week to experiment and try new things and come up with different stations or dishes or something of that sort. I think that's so important.
What's the biggest, best surprise you've gotten out of those trials?
That a lamb cooked in duck fat is actually not too bad.
Pineapple on pizza, go or no go?
So which one?
Pineapple on pizza, go or no go?
Oh my God, I'm gonna get in so much trouble.
Don't say anything.
No, I'll say it. I used to, when I was in university, I used to order it. Yeah. But I dip it heavily in the garlic dipping sauce, and then you take a bite. Oof. But again, this is at 1:30 in the morning, 2 in the morning. I think that's the only time
Context
it's allowed.
Is key.
Yeah, I think that's the only time it's allowed to be eaten.
Yeah, fun.
And just to add one thing on that, do whatever you want. If you think pineapple on pizza is good, great. The people who like pineapple on pizza, they'll come to your restaurant or to your thing. If you are passionate about that, do it. I'm not one to judge.
What are the 3 tips you would give to yourself if you were to start your catering business again?
I would say not to beat myself up too much. I was pretty mentally abusive to myself because I always wanted to strive and be the best. So not really to take myself too seriously. Whenever I hit a roadblock, which was very often, there's always a way around it. Either you smash through it, jump over it, walk around it. There's always a way. And, it's, any obstacle that comes, just find a way around it. And 3 is get help from the people around you. Majority of the people around you are there to support you. And I think in the first half of my career, I'm talking in terms of my business, I thought that I was a lone wolf and I had to figure it out on my own. When in actual fact, working with people, asking for help, even supporting them. I'm a big advocate for even my competitors and people that in the industry. When they do well, I will clap. I will applaud them and I will cheer them on because I feel when you do that, they will do the same for you. And you'll feel better about yourself because it's a community thing. You're not alone. F&B is very difficult, and you need to stick with everyone that's around you doing the same thing because they're going through the same problems that you are. And it can be either talking to them, they can be a soundboard, could be sharing ideas, collaborating. Our industry nowadays is very beautiful, and
it's
think
not competitive.
Of
course it is, but
it is. But we're now supporting each other more, and I think we have become more successful. And I think the last award that we got now in 2023, I attribute it to a lot of the people that are around me. because they push me to be a better version of myself. I'm accountable, yes, to myself and my family, but I'm also accountable to them. If we're going to be running in the same circles and everything, you know, we have to kind of push each other to be better. And, you know, and when you love one another and like you care for one another, you'll support. You know, if there's a collaboration between two chefs, you go, you show up. You try the food. If there's another catering company duo, I've sat with other people that have considered opening catering companies, and I've walked them through it. Just because I feel like no one was there to walk me through it. No one was there to help me in the beginning, except for, you know, my family, my father. He really pushed. He was the catalyst. You know, he pushed, and he didn't know either. But he's like, go find out. Go to a municipality. How do you open a kitchen? Like, ask these questions.
Yeah, part of the fun in life is to find out.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
That's my coach tells me.
Yeah.
I want to finish with a couple of questions. The first is, how do you market your business?
I think word of mouth is probably the strongest.
Yeah.
Social media.
Videos of food, or how do you market it?
Videos of food, pictures of the plates. I have to admit, we're not very good at marketing, but I think the awards and the reputation helped a lot.
Yeah.
SEO, search engine optimization. We spend quite a bit on that. Google AdWords.
It's classic marketing.
Yeah, because when you're throwing a party, what do? You say catering companies in Dubai or best private home catering, and you have to anticipate what the customer is going to write. So I work with a company that I tell them, like, hey guys, like, how do we get people to click on our website? They're like, well, when they Google, let's figure out like best catering company, a catering company in Dubai, catering company in UAE. So this is how we've driven most of our business, and word of mouth, really.
All right. The best thing to eat at Pinch? That will be my last question.
Wow. My favorite is honestly the lamb. We have a lamb station. No, not the duck fat. The duck fat was just a fun thing, but we roast a full lamb on a spit, and we add spices to it. Lemon, very sour. Oils, spices. It's out of this world. It's one of my absolute favorite things, and we've had this product forever, and it's hard to change it. I don't want to change it. I think it's great. I think most people find it to be one of the best things ever.
All right. Well, now people know what to order. If they ever want to work with Pinch, that's the thing that you should get. All right. Thank you, Elias.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.